To the Batmobile.
Let's go. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Here, ready to move out.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have worked with, some pretty big names, big name racers, I should say, over my career. I haven't worked at White Brothers. We had a lot of dirt track racers. As everybody knows, Tom White was heavily involved in dirt track during his, like pre-White Brother days, and he always loved dirt track. So we helped out guys like Scotty Parker, Chris Carr, Jay Springsteen, in their dirt track efforts. That was putting WP suspension onto their bikes, and they did quite well. We also got into road racing with guys like Doug Chandler, if you remember that name. He raced for Kawasaki when the AMA had I think it was the 750 class, when they used to break it up, 600, 750. I don't know if they still do. I honestly, I don't follow road racing that close, but when Kawasaki came out with the Ninja 750 and they had that race team, we worked with Doug with that. And motocrossers, guys like AMA four-stroke national champion Mike Young, and Mike Young and Spud Walters. I got to work with those guys. Multi-time national Hare and Hound champion Scott Summers ran a WP shock on his XR600, and he loved it. And in fact, it was always the old super adjuster shock that he liked, and he preferred that over the bleed adjust, the more modern WP shock, and he also preferred it over anything that factory Honda was able to give him. So that was pretty neat. When Supermoto started getting big, when I was at KTM, and Supermoto started getting big, there's a dirt track racer named Joe Kopp, if anybody remembers that name, and you should. He wanted to get into Supermoto, so I helped build him a KTM Supermoto racer. Also, when I was at KTM, Scott Burnworth, that was the first time I really met Scott Burnworth, and of course, we're roughly the same age. He may be a few years younger than me. I don't know, honestly, but when I was 13, 14 years old and following the mini races and stuff, and Scott Burnworth was one of my heroes, watching him race against George Holland and Eric Kehoe and Mike Brown and Ron Lachine and all those guys back when they were all racing minis. That was the absolute best. That was the absolute best time for mini cycle racing ever. But I helped him out with a Supermoto bike. And probably the one that I am most proud of, but unfortunately I don't have any pictures. If everybody remembers when Jeremy McGrath signed onto KTM, right? He was done with, I think he raced Yamaha the year before. KTM got him to sign a contract to race Supercross. We all know the history that he was out practicing one day, going through a set of whoops with the KTM PDS system, fell off, broke his hip, and basically never wanted to ride the bike again. But he still was under contract, so he needed to do something. And I guess he wanted to do something maybe, number one, that didn't involve Supercross jumps, and something a little bit different, So, of course, his good friend Jeff Ward had been racing Supermoto for a season, maybe 2 seasons before. Jeff Ward had kind of been in it with Troy Lee sponsoring him, and Jeff was going really good on his 450 Honda. So Jeremy wanted to try it out, and I was the guy who built Jeremy McGrath's first, and I think only, supermoto bike while he was contracted by KTM. So I'm proud of that. Unfortunately, I have some pictures of the bikes. To be honest, I was a little bit, starstruck when we got out to Fontana, California, and Jeremy was out there. I rolled up and I introduced myself and everything, and we talked a little bit, but I was a little bit shy about asking, hey, I didn't want to be the fanboy, right? I didn't want to be that guy, and, oh, can I get your picture? And honestly, I should have. I should have just, taken the chance and gotten a picture with him, but I'm pretty proud that, I built that bike, and here's Jeff Ward. Like I say, he's got a couple of seasons of Supermoto under his belt. He also has I'm going to say pretty extensive pavement racing experience through his IndyCar racing that he did, and so he knew what was going on when it came to that Supermoto bike. Jeremy, being brand new to Supermoto, never raced Supermoto before, ended up getting second place to Jeff Ward on that day, and so that's a testament not to my Supermoto bike building skills, but more a testament to the skills that Jeremy McGrath naturally has. So I was really happy that day. That was pretty cool. So those are probably the biggest names, people that I've actually directly worked with suspension on. Okay, well, what can you expect to see? I don't want to go over the whole thing again, but I want to show you guys my projects that I've got going on in Uncle Rico's garage, right? That's the bottom line. Whether it be my CR250 shock project that is really starting to work out well now. It's been in development for a while, unfortunately, but I'll get more into that. I'm going to do a whole video on that, and that's working out really good. You've already seen, hopefully, the video, the start of my KX80, my 1982 KX80 project. That's going to get wound up here real quick. I've got a 1981 CR125 chassis that I am going to put a 1982 XR185 engine into. And that's just a fun project because I want to build a bike that my son can ride. He just needs something kind of mellow that he can, he's got other things going on. He doesn't have time to, be a full-time motocrosser, but he definitely wants to go and ride. And so I wanted a bike that was big enough for him because he's 6'2" now. He's 19 years old and 6'2". So it had to be big enough for him to ride, but I wanted an engine that had some power but would be mellow. I don't want to just throw him on a CR125, and have him flailing around. So it'll just be a fun project and something that he can have fun on, and something that he's going to help me out with as well. So that's going to be a neat thing there. And so I also have my Shalico project, which I'll do a complete video on the Shalico. That's a car that was developed by my father back, if any of you are old enough to remember, back in the late 60s and early 70s when the whole dune buggy craze kicked off, right? And everybody knows the Myers Manx and those cars. Well, my dad wanted to get into that, and he created a car in his vision that he called the Shalico. So I'll get into more detail about it, but I have one that my brother helped me build. He did most of the work. I should say I helped him build. That's probably a better way to put it. But it's got some things that I need to iron the kinks out on, and so I'm going to do some videos on that as well. So that's just another thing. And then you never know what else could, come rolling in at any time. But hopefully I'm going to keep this going, and there's going to be some other neat things for people to watch. So I hope that explains that part of it for now.